This is a very special video. I'm your cult boyfriend, and I'd like to talk to you today about Jean Arthur, my cult girlfriend, my rock, my spirit animal, my own personal symbol of um of some really personal things. So Jean Arthur is probably my favorite like movie star, right? My favorite comedian, one of my favorite screen presences of all time. You know her. If you watch the channel, you know her because I've been talking about her a lot lately because I've been studying Frank Capra's work. Been talking about Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, You Can't Take It With You, and Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, as well as some of her other material too. She was also really great in The Devil and Miss Jones, Only Angels Have Wings, History is Made at Night, Shane, A Foreign Affair. She's very good. She's incredible, actually. And it's been a true year of discoveries for me because I'd always known who Jean Arthur was. It wasn't until I watched Capra's materials, like You Can't Take It With You, Mr. Deeds, and Mr. Smith. And Mr. Smith, it's one of my favorite films of all time now because of her, because of Clarissa Saunders, because of her character in it, the equal parts of cynicism and skepticism, her beautiful voice, like witty crackling firecrackers. Like each time it goes off, it's saying something else that's delightfully feminine or sardonically humorous. Everything about Jean Arthur, I think is wonderful, but I'm more so like attracted to like the philosophical idea of Jean Arthur. Jean Arthur was like an American Greta Garbo, in the sense that she was extremely private. She declined all interviews, declined all press events. She was consistently during her career voted by press agencies as the most difficult actress to get an interview with, or the most non-cooperative actress. I think that they phrased it, and but she was considered difficult by studio heads. But I've been starting to learn that difficult by studio heads just low key means that this person is a nonconformist and won't put up with your fucking shit, and then like studio heads and like just randoms online see the words difficult to work with this, just consider that she was a huge bitch or something, but that's absolutely not the case. um, Jean Arthur was petrified of conformity. Her favorite roles were outside of the Capra films, which she was Frank Capra's favorite actress. And maybe that's also what I'm just trying to say. I'm just trying to say that Jean Arthur is my favorite actress because I see so much of my own philosophy, my own treatment, my own self inside of her characters, especially in those parts of cynicism and skepticism. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington being so important and impressive to me because Clarissa Saunders is like a she starts off as this, like bitter, funny, like super, super witty, acerbic, cynic, on the edge of nihilism, just doesn't care, has lost all faith in all systems, and especially all ideals of government and democracy. And by the end of the film, she hasn't just become. Capra wasn't really focused on the love interest between Mr. Smith, between Longfellow Smith and Clarissa Saunders. Not Longfellow Smith. I apologize. It was Longfellow Deeds between Jefferson Smith and Clarissa Saunders. He wasn't too interested in the love there. It is there, but he didn't really focus on it too much. I think what Capra focused on and what Jean Arthur was really able to amplify through her performative abilities was that protection, both the rediscovery of the sincerity of an inner child and the protection of that inner child is done in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And I think that's what that's what's most gripping for me and most emotional watching the film because like I said in my video about it, which I'm actually pretty proud of my insight there, but the hero of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington isn't the wonderkind, isn't that unique individual that goes there and then just spends a few weeks there. The true hero of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is Clarissa. Clarissa lives in Washington. Mrs. Saunders lives in Washington. She lives surrounded by nihilism, and she's rediscovered her inner child, her sincerity, and she's going to do everything she can to guide, nurture, teach, and protect it so that it can transcend, so that it can overcome the greatest difficulties possible, the greatest the greatest things possible. Okay, the greatest adversarial challenges that you could ever face. A Jean Arthur hero will help you do that and make you laugh a lot along the way and maybe make you fall in love too. But that's how I see my own self. I think I am far too embittered. The adversities I see in the world, I don't feel like I'm battling them. I'm someone could say I was not narcissistic, but nihilistic, and possibly narcissistic too. That comes with nihilism, actually. But I just feel like I'm far too bitter and cynical, and I've lost that inner child. Because it's not like Jean Arthur does they rediscover her inner child in films like Mr. Deeds and films like Mr. Smith, but it's not like she's a child again. It's not like a Peter Pan scenario, which we'll get to Peter Pan in a second, but it's more so she knows she will never have it again, but she sees like the strength, the beauty, the surefire sincerity, the power of an inner child, and sees her responsibility as someone who has lost that forever. The responsibility of those of us who have lost our inner child to protect the ones who haven't, because those are the people who make sure that we're all safe and we're all okay. And I think that comes across in all of her heroines. I really do. I really do. And speaking of Peter Pan or whatever, Peter Pan is probably, I think, her two favorite characters in literature, or in any sort of play or theater. She really loved theater, but it was Peter Pan and Joan of Arc, specifically of the Bernard Shaw play, Joan of Arc, Saint Joan. And she loved those two characters to death. In fact, that's where Jean Arthur got the name Jean from, is Joan of Arc. So she took Jean from there. But Peter Pan, she actually played Peter Pan, I think, around 50 on the stage. And she loved it. She loved the kind of androgynous feeling of playing Peter Pan. She loved the nonconformity of playing Peter Pan. She loved the sincerity of playing Peter Pan. And I think more than anything else, and no one's ever written about it, it's what I'm saying right now, is the rediscovery and protection and then celebration of the inner child, which I think is what Jean Arthur really really personified and really expressed in her best work, is that kind of adult and mature, overwhelming sincerity. And that's why I think I love Jean Arthur so much. She's a mind-blowing persona. And I mean, of course, she's beautiful and all of that, but it's really just, she starts to speak with that firecracker voice, and her eyes start to have that searching look to them, and it's searching for meaning, it's searching for comfort, it's searching for something innocent in a world that seems everything else but. And I can't help but relate so heavily to that kind of gaze. The Jean Arthur gaze. She's my cult girlfriend. She's Capra's favorite actress. She's mine too. Capra worked with her several times, and probably in her best work, and I mean, she was in his best films. Capra, I just finished reading his biography, The Name Above the Title, which is one of the best autobiography, actually, that I've ever read. I've never heard or read someone speak about film as passionately or as wildly as Capra does. And this is coming from a guy who used to like worship at the altar of the written word of Truffaut, and Capra, I think, writes about film in a much more romantic way. Capra he said of Jean Arthur that she would vomit, she would throw up before and after every scene, that she kept to herself. She was fiercely private. You can imagine, this is how a Capra set would look with Jean Arthur there. So imagine I Can't Take It With You, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, or Mrs. Smith Goes to Washington. And all these actors kind of lost in their own like egotistic spirals, or like people having fun, people talking about the setup of the next scene, people just, I don't know, eating a Danish, smoking a cigarette, shit that happens on movies. Then you get this Jean Arthur woman who's like kind of pacing around, muttering to herself, has to run to the bathroom to throw up before the take, and she's re-rehearsing lines, or she's criticizing herself because she was also an incredibly insecure actress, no matter how how established or how successful her films were. She was always kind of obsessively insecure, which is something that I can relate to heavily. I think I would be insecure if I was the largest film critic on the internet right now. I still would have an inferiority complex, which Jean Arthur, I mean, her biographer even says that she probably suffered from an inferiority complex, and I totally get that. It's like her inner child wasn't just beaten out of her with nihilism. I think it was forced out of her by bullying this adult woman into a corner. You know, like I'm speaking philosophically rather than literally. But you can imagine the set of her walking around stammering, muttering, chiding herself, berating herself, like the breath smells of throw up. But every time she's muttering, she is using that incredible voice, from the greatest voices ever recorded for film dialogue. And Capra's just watching her walk back and forth, back and forth. She doesn't want to talk to any actor about craft or about anything like that, about philosophy, about danishes and cigarettes. She doesn't want to have those kinds of conversations. She just wants to do her work, which even in a film, even in a comedy scene, is just so important to her that it's literally eating up her insides and it's making her sick. The fear of making bad films made her physically ill. She had like a contract with Columbia. It was certainly Columbia because that's who Capra was working for as well. And Capra just got lucky that she was also in debt to the same man named Harry Cohn, head of Columbia for quite a few years. But her contract kept getting prolonged because she kept turning down roles, because one of her greatest fears is also doing something that wasn't good, like doing a bad job, which added to why she would get sick on set all of the time. Because I think she understood eternity. I think she understood the eternal quality of film. I think she understood the eternal power of acting. And I think she thought everyone else was just too bitter, and not too bitter, but too swept away in a transitory existence to really understand that what we are doing is eternal. And I think she loved the work that she did with Capra so much, and like her work as Peter Pan, because Peter Pan is a tried and true historically legendary character championing the inner child. But Capra's films are like that too, but in a whole new way. And Capra films were actively engaging with the creation of the ethos of America. While America was creating it for themselves. So like America itself is in part an invention of Frank Capra's cinema, which is in part thanks to the acting of Jean Arthur. Um, while I think someone like Barbara Stanwyck had that best describes the eroticism of Frank Capra. I think that Frank Capra's feminine ideal is Barbara Stanwyck, even by his own. He's admitted it himself that Jean Arthur is his favorite actor. Favorite actress ever, and I would have to agree that she elevates Capra's work, Bob Riskin's work, everything that she's ever done. She elevates it, even elevates Howard Hawks. I know Only Angels Have Wings. Every film is better with her in it, even if it's ultimately a more forgettable type of picture. But it's about that protection of the inner child, and it's about the rediscovery of it. It's about the fact that doesn't make you forever young. There's not the eternity that I'm speaking of is not a fountain of youth. The eternity I'm speaking of is how people will look back at you and talk about you, and talk about your worth. And I can't think of anything more worthless than adding more cynicism and nihilism into an already gloomy world. I can't think of anything worse than that. And she was intensely funny, and I think she was intensely funny because comedy, to be intensely funny, needs to be intensely relatable. And her jokes, if they were ever naive, if all of her jokes would work because they'd all come from a place of knowing, a place of like, I know what it's like to be cynical, and here's my joke about a situation, and I know that you relate to me because I've been through it. Yeah, there's a film critic, I think it was like Jean Harlow's biographer, has a great quote that is just by chance ultimately about Jean Arthur, but he said, if Jean Harlow was a tough girl who didn't know what it was like to be nervous, Jean Arthur was a tough girl who did. Jean Arthur was a tough girl who knew exactly what it was like to be nervous. And Dear viewer, so the fuck do I. I absolutely know what it's like to be nervous. I'm terribly insecure, and so is this woman, Jean Arthur. Even on screen, there are times in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington where she's watching him from the gallery, teaching him, guiding him through this this cavalcade of democratic pageantry to try to really like overcome all this opposition. And I can't tell if she's about to explode, if she's about to get sick. She'll be overwhelmed with love and happiness and idealism. I can't tell. But I feel her every single step of the way, and I'm always just so impressed by Jean Arthur. She she's one of the most incredible women ever photographed because of what she was able to express through the power of film itself. And it's never lost. It's never lost on me. It's just that I feel it so much more now, so much more intensely right now, because I mean, I'm finally at the age of a Jean Arthur character. You know, I mean, the films I'm talking about of the 30s, she was in her 30s, and there's something just that is so much more intensely relatable and dynamic to her characters now than there were when I first watched her films 15 years ago. There's an immediacy now. The There's an immediacy to the eternity of Jean Arthur's work for me right now, and I get lost in her films, you guys. Watching her work is partly like a religious experiment, or at least tantamount to one. A religious experiment, a religious experience. It's all equal. And I watch it and I see myself in a large way and the things that I'm trying to deal with. And I think that the films that she did accept, the offers she did accept for films, was like they had to speak to a very certain part of her that wanted to protect Peter Pan, and that never wanted to conform, not to any sort of world, even a perfectly free one. And and it's not like she was a symbol of a transitory female icon. She's pretty uninvolved in politics. She is the true protector of the inner child, of the spirit, of all our spirits. And Capra was able to immortalize that on film, and thank God for Frank Capra, I suppose. At the end of the day, thank God for Frank Capra because he made me believe in Jean Arthur, and it's through and by believing in Jean Arthur that I believe in the inner child within myself and within you, dear viewer. I believe in yours as well. So, I'll be talking about Jean Arthur's films in more detail in the weeks to come. Um, you know, definitely some of the ones I haven't talked about yet. So expect some Only Angels Have Wings and Shane. History is Made at Night, possibly, but expect videos about those because Jean Arthur is really speaking to me. And if I could do what Jean Arthur did on screen, I think for so many people, if I can help you rediscover your inner child, that young cinephile to whom movies meant everything to, like you can find the meanings of so many of life's struggles through films. If I can make you remember that, and if I can help you rediscover that, and then protect that quality in others, because if you, well, it's a lot to bring up here. It's a lot to bring up here. Maybe that's a better example for another video. But I've been your cult boyfriend. Don't let that quality in others die. Don't let the inner child die. It's really what I'm saying. To be continued.